Rudyard Kipling once celebrated a man's ability to walk with kings and not lose the common touch. That's Chris Ritts' special gift. He's walked with the best and the brightest, but his shoes have never lost the soil of the common man. Chris Ritts, the People's Advocate, is an exceptional candidate for Hennepin County, Minnesota judge. Chris has over 28 years of experience fighting for the rights of individuals in legal matters. He's helped hundreds of people successfully solve their legal problems. This experience has shaped Chris into one of those very few attorneys that can and has done it all. He has more experiences as a lawyer than most judges in dealing with both criminal and civil cases, and has helped individuals and small businesses in a variety of different legal issues. Chris has helped people who have been hurt in car accidents, who have lost their homes, represented people who have wrongly lost their jobs, and who have been sexually harassed. Chris has handled divorce cases, real estate issues, insurance disputes, and construction-related matters. He has also successfully defended people accused of crimes. In selecting judges, President Obama said, "We need somebody who's got the heart and the empathy to recognize what it's like to be a young teenage mom, the empathy to understand what it's like to be poor or African American or gay or disabled or old. And that's the criterion by which I'll be selecting my judges." That's Chris Ritts. Chris has advocated for people as a private attorney. His 28 years of experience has enabled him to gain a complete understanding of the judicial system and see how it can work better for everyone. Now, the Constitution guarantees all Americans the right to pursue justice in court when they believe they've been harmed. Thomas Jefferson once stated that the right to trial by a jury of fellow citizens was a more important safeguard of personal liberty than the right to vote. With a jury, the rights and duties of each of us will be decided by our fellow citizens, not by some bureaucrat or governmental functionary. The courts are the first and last resort for protecting the constitutional rights of Americans, and we need fair and experienced judges to administer justice in our courts. In terms of our democracy, the stakes could not be higher because a strong democratic civil justice system is critical to safeguarding individual rights and promoting public health and safety. There's a lot that can be done to improve all Americans' rights to justice, and that's why Chris Ritts is campaigning for judge. He wants to make justice better for all Americans. What motivates Chris to do this? Because he wants to make a difference, a very positive difference, because he's a leader. And every leader has to have one very important qualification. It's the ability to listen and to understand people and their circumstances. Sounds easy? It's not. All too often, we tend to listen to others through our own ears, and we filter and distort the message. We hear only what we want to hear and not what others are actually saying to us. Chris listens because he wants to make a difference in other people's lives, and he does that by being a careful and empathetic listener when people talk to him. Listening not only as a lawyer in the courtroom to his clients, judges, and fellow lawyers, but also as a real Minnesota farmer for the past 20 years to everyday workers and people. In this insider-exclusive Investigative Network TV special, our news team goes behind the headlines to visit with Chris Ritts in Chris Ritts, the People's Advocate, to examine how Chris stands on the issues and how he wants to improve justice for everyday ordinary people. He shares with us the reasons he's running for judge and why he's the best choice for the job. Chris's deep humanity, his courage in the courtroom, and his unyielding commitment to justice and fairness for all Americans, regardless of race or stature, makes him the best choice as a Hennepin County District Court judge in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is Chris Ritts' story about making a difference, about the voice inside him that drives him to do the right thing, to help people find justice, led by a man with a backbone of steel and the heart of a lion. Anyone who cares about justice for all, and everyone who cares about all of our citizens from the street sweeper to the CEO, should vote for Chris Ritts for Hennepin judge because he is a crusader for justice. Chris's 28 years as a lawyer demonstrates the mind and soul behind the decisions that have guarded our civil liberties, enlarged our civil rights, and made America a better place for all of its citizens. Chris has earned the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as one of the best trial lawyers in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, and across the United States. His goals are not only to get justice for his clients, but to make sure that everyone is treated with equal respect and dignity as guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States. And to make sure all Americans have the right to a fair trial, honest cops, impartial prosecutors, and fair judges with no agendas. He has built a substantial reputation by consistently winning cases other law firms have turned down. His amazing courtroom skills and headline-grabbing success rate continue to provide his clients with the results they need and the results they deserve. And because of his experience and compassion and fairness, he is the best candidate for Hennepin County District Court Judge in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is the Insider Exclusive live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is my great pleasure to introduce Chris Ritts to the show. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hi, Steve.
Tell our audience a little bit about your law practice. What type of law do you practice, and why are you a lawyer?
I practice litigation. Litigation is the fancy word for going to trial, going to court a lot. And that's the way we resolve our differences in this country. You know, if it's an injury, money is used to compensate people, you know, rather than the Middle Ages where you're used to an eye for an eye, or in other countries they still do that. And so we solve these differences through the process of starting lawsuits, suing people, doing the depositions or gathering the facts with court reporters, questioning people. And then ultimately, we're sitting right across the street from our courthouses. We go over there and try the cases in front of jurors.
Yeah.
Same thing, though, my practice also involves not just civil cases, but also criminal cases.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the cases where people are accused of crimes. So I get involved and I defend them, and that's courtroom work as well.
Yeah. But always representing the little guy, the everyday average man, woman, and child, correct?
Absolutely.
You could have been a prosecutor.
I started out of school and was in the prosecutor's office.
Mm-hmm. And what made you decide you wanted to represent the people?
I didn't like that situation. I felt it was weighted in large part. You know, don't take me wrong, it's a laudable profession, but I see it more and more increasingly weighted against certainly the poor in this country, the underprivileged. And that just wasn't me, you know. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, pretty, I would say, moderate to liberal background or views, at least, you know. And that certainly isn't what I was seeing in the prosecutor's offices.
Now you're campaigning for judge right now, and that's a major step in another direction from acting as a private lawyer, where you are going to be, if you're elected, and we certainly hope you are, you're going to be in charge of listening to a lot of cases with a lot of people's problems. What made you decide to take that leap?
I don't want this to sound arrogant, but I have done litigation work for at least 30 years.
Yes.
And I really sincerely feel that I can just do a better job at it than the vast majority of judges that I've been encountering more and more in my career. And it's going to be a situation which is a big leap, you're right.
Yeah. What makes a good judge?
Well, I think you've got to be very patient. Remember, a judge really should be the referee, and they shouldn't be the one talking. They should be the one listening. And I think that I see more and more, you know, with the judges, at least the past few governors in our state have been appointing, you know, they are appointing people that don't have that component,
right,
predominantly, And then you have to have a judge that has a lot of various experiences. And I'm talking really about being a lawyer. Most of the judges that you'll see appointed have always been prosecutors, or they've only done one thing. Maybe they've never even been a trial lawyer. Maybe they've never even been, if you can believe it, in court. All they ever did was one thing. They worked at a company, or they put people in prison. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see the vast majority of the judges, at least in this state, as in this region, because I practice in other states that I've encountered, they were district attorneys.
You mentioned that a lot of judges are former prosecutors. And in this country, and we're going to talk about a little bit of, what's wrong with the judicial system today. Prosecutors, not all of them, but some of them have a tendency to, when someone commits a crime, just throw them in jail, lock them up, throw away the key. That hasn't worked too well in our society, has it? Not
in my opinion. Look, we were just discussing, we have the highest rate of people incarcerated in this country. And the next country, you might think it's a really heavily populated one like China. No, it's Russia. Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad company to be in.
So we've got more people locked up in America per capita and total inmate population and on probation than any other country in the world, industrialized or otherwise, correct?
Correct.
That system isn't working, and it's breaking the bank.
Sure is.
And states are changing it. So if you're elected, and we certainly hope you are, what would you do differently?
Well, I think the first problem why judges have been want to do that is it's an elected position.
Yeah. This is not something you need to do or looking for a cushy job, is it?
No.
I mean, this is something and that's why I brought up, why you practice the law that you do. You represent the little people, because now I think as a judge you feel you could be more effective in administering the law better so that people got, let's say, a better break. Not that we're soft on crime, but that they go back into society. People make mistakes and they got second chances, and maybe they can be better people, right?
I think so. I mean, look, we want these people to come out of any kind of situation whole so that they can contribute to society, so that they won't reoffend. So I think I'm in a better position because of my experience and age, frankly, that I'll take some risks with people, if it's warranted, and they don't have to go to prison just because it's a mandatory prison offense or because the state is demanding they put them in prison. It's very difficult for these judges when the prosecutors are screaming to put people in prison for them not to. Mm-hmm. Because what happens if that person goes out and commits another crime? Well, it's that judge, she or he, that's going to lose their job.
Yeah, but in your situation, you're more concerned about doing the right thing.
Absolutely, and I can now.
By the way, we will also show that not only have you been a lawyer, but you're also a Minnesotan farmer, aren't you?
Right.
For what, 20 years?
At least 20 years.
So you work with your hands, you work with people, you know what they're like. It isn't like you live in the lofty offices of the prosecutor's office where they really can't relate to people and they're looking at numbers, right?
Right, and I'm not some university type that went to Harvard. I did go to a great college, but I mean, I'm not some Ivy Leaguer or blue blood. But when you farm, you got to do everything.
Yeah.
Just like so many people, at least in our state, most of the U.S., you've got to be able to make and build things.
Yeah.
You've got to fix buildings. You got to be able to plumb. You got to be able to wire. You get a real appreciation for how other people work.
Yeah.
How they make it day to day, rather than just working in an office, which unfortunately, I'm stuck in an office a lot of the day too. Mm-hmm. And I'll be stuck in an office a lot more if I'm elected.
Today we have with us some folks who believe in you, and let's bring some of them on right now. One of them is a law clerk, Eric.
Eric Rathman.
Who just took the bar. He'll find out in October whether he passed or not.
Yeah.
But you have been a mentor to him, so let's bring him on right now. It's my great pleasure to introduce Eric Rathman to the show. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you.
I understand that you are almost a lawyer right now, right? You took the bar.
That's correct.
But you have been working as a law clerk for Chris for some time, right?
Yes, over a year now.
And he's been kind of your mentor too.
Yeah, to say the least. He's helped me out and shown me the ropes and got me to where I'm kind of confident now going through my day-to-day actions.
Yeah, now you've got this big new world ahead of you where you are going to be in charge of people's lives and their fates. And you probably read and heard a lot about some judges. Chris, as we all know, is running for judge. Why do you think he is the best candidate to be a judge?
Well, Chris's background, he brings so much to the table, where he started out as working for the prosecution, helped out with defense, now done the criminal stuff and also the civil stuff. He just has such a broad background of all the different areas that gives him the experience and enables him to kind of be able to take each argument and for what it's worth and have no bias kind of going into it.
And the bias would be, if you were from the prosecutor's office, that everybody's a bad guy, just lock them up.
Yeah, moving on through, yeah.
Yeah, and that system doesn't work, does it?
No, absolutely not.
Chris, you have mentored a number of students, right? Including Eric.
Probably at least 50.
Yeah. What type of law are you going to practice, by the way, Eric?
That's the $1,000,000 question. Everyone asks me, but
what do you want to do?
I want to do something like this. I mean, I really enjoy working for these guys here, and I can see myself kind of doing the same.
Yeah. And when you get before a judge, what do you find the best qualities of any judge might be?
Best qualities of a judge, just willing to listen, you know, to hear your side of the story.
There aren't a whole lot of judges like that, are there, Chris?
No, no. I mean, so many times, because they've come from the district attorney's office, they're beholden to that ilk or slant, or that's where they came from, that's what they know. Or to be fair, if I had only done one thing, I'm sure I would be predisposed to that sort of background from which I came.
Right.
I mean, that's just human nature.
Yeah. All right, well, I want to thank you very much for spending some time with us, and we certainly hope to pass the bar, and we'll see you practicing law soon, right?
Yes, thank you.
Today we have with us a couple of your clients. One of them is Kellen Coleman. Let's bring him on right now. It's my great pleasure to introduce Kellen Coleman to the show. Welcome to the show, Kellen.
Well, thank you.
I understand that Chris is your lawyer.
Yes, he is.
And you've got a pretty big case going on, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So far, in the way that Chris has handled your case, what's your opinion of it?
He's handled it fantastic.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Better than anybody I could ever find.
What are some good qualities that anyone would want in a lawyer?
Well, one that actually listens to them
Yeah.
and hears them and understands their situation
Yeah.
and is able to act appropriately and
No,
he knows what to do.
Now, you know, the reason we're here today is because Chris is running for judge.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to have your case heard by a Judge Ritts?
You know what? I'd love to.
Why is that?
Because Chris Ritts he's not only my lawyer, but I consider him a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great all around.
Yeah.
And so, that's my opinion.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come here. That means a lot to everyone. And we wish you a lot of success in your case.
Okay, thank you.
We've also got another client of yours, Mark Berlin. Let's bring him on right now. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mark Berlin to the show. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you, Steve.
What's your opinion of Chris as a lawyer first?
Well, he's done wonders for me.
Yeah.
He has an amazing perspective, appreciation for personal circumstance that may not be the best of circumstance, but has perspective and ability to help navigate.
Yeah, I think in his role in your case, you know the old saying, anybody who represents himself is a fool for a client, correct?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
When you are very much in debt, you know, it's very emotional, people banging on your door and that sort of thing. One of the reasons that we asked him to bring you aboard, you know, on the show was because he has the finesse, if you will, the empathy, and I think the patience, right, to work both sides of the fence so you have a solution where it's a win-win situation, right?
Absolutely. I needed a solution, but I also needed perspective. It was a very difficult time in my life.
Yeah. Now you know he's running for judge.
I do.
And what do you think about that?
I think it's fantastic.
And why is that?
I think he has the experience
Yeah.
practicing law, helping people. He's, from my understanding, has worked with plaintiffs and defense, criminal defense work and so forth. It provides a wonderful perspective.
Yeah.
I know him personally and professionally for somebody who's capable of outstanding things.
Yeah, you know, Chris, when I listen to Mark, I think about, you know, people getting second chances. And Mark was a guy, very articulate, you know, successful today, where what impressed me the most about you, Mark, was the fact that when you told me you had all these financial difficulties, you didn't declare bankruptcy, did you?
No, I did not.
You know, you wanted to work them out, and I thought that was very admirable, because a lot of people could have just wiped it underneath the bridge and wouldn't have learned their lesson. But that built character, what you did. And I thought, you know, the fact that you were able to work with these creditors who were probably screaming and yelling too, right, for their money. You know, they're out for blood, right?
Well, look at the financial meltdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened to so many millions of Americans. But Mark had the perspective too, to realize that the only way and the best way I can rebuild, you know, I think you'd agree, is I need to work out, what would you say the best way to put it, arrangements or settlements with these people so I can get credit in the future and be successful again. I mean, many people have done it. It's not easy. And you're a remarkable guy, the way you've turned out.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will say this, bankruptcy certainly is an option, but to Chris's point, I really wanted to try to work it out and begin anew.
Well, I want to thank you for taking your time to come in. It's Friday afternoon. Everybody's going someplace for the weekend, but you decided this was more important.
You're darn right.
And we appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it too.
And as a final word to the voters who will be voting for someone, hopefully you, what final words do you want to encourage people to come out and vote for you?
I just want people to start voting, because nobody votes for judges, let
Yeah.
alone really other candidates. Now just think about this. This is a fact. What are maybe 2 or 3 of the most important things in your life? You know, obviously a child is born, you know, you're married, and what, God forbid, you wind up in court.
For a civil or a criminal
Yeah,
matter.
just some, DWI or a child support issue.
Yeah.
God forbid you get divorced or you get sued by your neighbor. A tree falls on his house or something mundane. Well, there you're sitting there in front of a judge, and you thought you'd never be here, and you're wondering, who is this person?
Right.
And how'd they get there? And how do I know they're qualified? Well, at least get somebody who's helped a lot of people,
Right.
hasn't just worked for a big corporation, has done a lot of trial work, no civil and criminal. I mean, that's why I think I would be able to do it better. But I want people in this country to start thinking about this. This is crazy that we aren't thinking about who our elected officials are and really judges.
Right. Well, we certainly hope that you get elected, because America needs people like you, and thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.